Welcome to Midweek. I'm Colby, one of the pastors here, and this week's segment's going to be a little different. We realized that we missed March Madness completely. There is no one shining moment, and we're all really sad about that. So we invited three of the greatest basketball coaches we could find. Coach Anthony Boone from Central Arkansas, Coach McCracken from Hendrix College, and Coach Salty Longing from the newly crowned 6A state champion Conway Wampus Cats. And we're going to talk about some really important subjects. We're going to talk about parenting and the role parents play in the life of their kids and also in sports. We're going to talk to students about how to get better at basketball and how to get better at life. We're going to talk about the importance of relationships. And probably the most important thing we're going to talk about is how our faith, what we believe and teach on Sunday, affects what we do on Monday. So whether you're a stay-at-home mom, whether you're a student, someone who goes to work in an office, maybe you work outside with your hands, whatever you do, we're going to talk about how Sunday changes Monday. Colossians 3:17 says, whatever you do, whether in word, what you say, or deed, what you do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, giving thanks to God the Father through Him. We think it's so important that Sunday changes Monday. Thanks for tuning in. We think it's going to be a great midweek as we talk about basketball. Yeah! Welcome to Midweek! We're so glad that you are here. I'm joined with what I described as the Trinity of Coaching in Central Arkansas, and y'all can decide at home which one is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But we are so thankful since there is no March Madness. Coach McCracken coined the term, and other people have used it. It's kind of March Sadness around here. We wanted to talk a little bit about basketball, a little bit about life, and a little bit about faith. And man, this is awesome. I'm joined today by three guys that are just incredible. If you're around Central Arkansas, you probably know these men, but Central Arkansas is blessed to have, I think, three great basketball minds. And since we couldn't get them on the show, we got you guys. These guys are incredible. They're really good men, and they're really, really excellent basketball coaches. On the far end, we have Coach McCracken. Coach McCracken coaches at Hendrix College here in Conway. Coach McCracken played at Hanover College. He's from Indiana. They know a few things about basketball in the great state of Indiana. Learned all of his coaching from the legendary Indiana coach Bobby Knight. If you've been to the Hendrix games, you know that's true. Was an NCAA Division III All-American at Hanover. Won every award that they handed out. Conference Player of the Year. Literally could go on and on, but I won't because his wife asked me not to. So, great man, and that's Coach McCracken. Next to him, we have a great friend of mine, Coach Anthony Boone, the head basketball coach at Central Arkansas. His first season was interim coach from December on. He's been at his alma mater, Ole Miss. Anthony, I tell this story more than Anthony does. Anthony never tells this story, but few people know Anthony is the only basketball player in Ole Miss history to have his jersey retired. One of only two athletes. The other is a guy named Archie Manning, who has some sons that have done well in football. Anthony was an incredible basketball player in the mid to late 90s at Ole Miss. 2 back-to-back 20-win seasons for their first time in 60-year history. I was also a finalist for the Chip Hilton, am I saying that correctly, award, which goes a national award for the player who exhibits the most character on the court. Anthony's from Helena, West Helena. Which is Helena, West Helena?
I was born in Helena.
Okay.
I grew up in West Helena.
So you truly are from Helena, West Helena?
Helena, West Helena, yes.
Okay, I always feel like I stutter when I say that, but great friend. Anthony and I worked together in college at Kennecut camps, and I love him and his family. Last but not least, the Conway legend himself, Salty Longing, who's been coaching at Conway for 20 years, is that right?
At the high school.
You started when you were 10.
Yeah.
So, 10 years ago to this season, Salty was an assistant for the legendary Coach Bates, and this is the 10-year anniversary of the state championship you guys won.
Correct.
And how fitting, this is your third season as head coach, and you guys were in the state finals this season playing Little Rock Central.
Little Rock Central, correct.
And man, that what you guys finished where in the conference?
We were tied for third, but ended up being the fifth seed.
The fifth
out of the
seed,
conference.
and
And Central was the fourth seed.
So both teams out of the Central beat out the Northwest Arkansas schools and were poised to play in the state championship. And so right now, you did not lose the state championship game.
Correct. That's exactly right.
We're going to say they're state champs. I don't know what the AAA is going to say. I don't know what Central's going to say, but we're going to say the 2020 state champions had an incredible season.
You bet.
Congratulations, Coach. So, very accomplished, very distinguished panel of people here. Thad, we'll start with you, man. What are your feelings on No March Madness?
You know, we as you said, I coined it, or didn't coin it, but mimicked the March sadness. You know, just really depressing for us basketball guys for a lot of different reasons. You know, I think, you know, the past 8-10 years, I've probably developed a lot of the set plays, a lot of the actions that we'll run next year just by watching the tournament, jotting down notes, and I keep a little notepad there by the chair in the living room, and you know, obviously don't have that luxury this year. I still think there's been March Madness. It's just been fights over toilet paper instead of basketball on TV.
That's true. I like basketball on TV a lot better. Man, there's some video games that you can get some plays off of. My son could probably point you in the direction.
I'm sure it's good stuff.
I feel certain it is. Coach Ben, what about you? How's this March been different? First off, congratulations. Got named the head coach at Central Arkansas this month, so it's a big month for you and your family. But how's it been different for you?
Going into a different role in a permanent way was exciting and a relief after not knowing for so long during the season, and was really looking forward to this March of watching. And as that does, I do the same thing. I look for little things that we can do. Maybe we can get some actions or some different things that we can do for our team. I always look at that during the tournament also. And also, my girls, Rebecca's a sophomore in high school and Lindsay is in the third grade, and my wife Jen, we all watch the tournament and we all fill out our brackets and we have a little family competition there. And my girls, especially Lindsay, my youngest one, is always really excited about that. And it was really disappointing, you know, understandable why it was all canceled, but It was really disappointing when that all got canceled and really got down. I would say I got down. I don't know if my girls did, but I certainly did. But I'll tell you one thing that has happened, and it's probably happened for a lot of people, is I've gotten to spend a lot more time with my family, a lot of needed rest, and enjoyed my girls here. It's only been 2 or 3 weeks now.
I think it's been 2 or 3 months.
It feels like a lot longer, but it hadn't been that long. But I've enjoyed the time with them.
You brought out a good point. So it's caused all of us to kind of refocus and slow down, which has been good, and maybe spend some more time with our family and kids. I don't know if I mentioned this. Salty Coach Longing played at Hendrix College, so an alum of Hendrix College, and Coach McCracken was saying that Coach Garrison, the well-known coach, was saying that what an incredible player Coach Longing was at Hendrix. You don't remember it that way?
I don't remember that one.
Hey,
I'll take it though.
The older I get, the better I was. You know, that's one of my favorite sayings. So, what about for you? How's this March? Your season got disrupted right at the most exciting time.
Well, yeah, and you know, we obviously would have liked to have got to finish the season and have a chance to play for a state championship, but it didn't happen for good reason. And so I'm kind of like them. Those 4 weekends where you just you know what you're doing every weekend for 4 weekends, and you know, the games themselves, the stealing things that you could use for maybe down the road for your next year. But man, 2 things, and they've sort of mentioned it, but one is just when you're coming out, not that you'd ever want anything like this to happen, but when you're coming out of your season, when you're having to reintroduce yourself to your kids and your family, I don't know. If somebody's going to tell me something like this is going to happen, I guess this is the time of the year I'd want it to happen, just because now I get to be with my kids when I feel like I haven't been for about 3 or 4 months.
That's awesome. I think you guys can see the hearts of these men, and that's a great point. Salty, you guys, especially probably for your seniors, but for any kid, because you only have 3 or 4 if you're really good. If you're Anthony, 4 years of high school basketball. I barely had 3, but so to get to play for a state championship, to work hard, you get to that point, and then you don't get it. And so for all of you guys to be able to step back and go, we hate it, we know it was for good reason, and now we've got to try to redeem the time, which is actually, there's a passage of scripture that talks about making the most of the opportunities that we have. So, man, I commend you guys for stepping back and investing in your families and doing what you can with your kids. Which brings us to another question. A lot of folks have kids at home that are, we're all now homeschooling. We're all now dealing with what that's like. So if you've got a kid at home that's, let's say, a 10-year-old, I've got a 12-year-old son who likes basketball. I've actually heard the sounds of basketballs in my neighborhood more this last month than ever. So what would you say to a kid at home that likes basketball, or some parents at home who want to get their kid out of the house? What are some things they could do? We'll start with you, Thad. What are some things? You've got kids at home.
I do. Got a 10 and a 7-year-old, both boys. And when they're not tearing up sheetrock and drywall, they're probably outside in the yard playing with some kind of ball. So the biggest thing, and it's along the lines of what these guys said, is really don't necessarily have a hard fixed plan for them, but go out there with them. Go rebound for them. Just pass the ball with them. It's amazing. I find this with my team now, not quite to that point with my boys because they're just 10 and 7. But if I want to know what's going on with one of my players, the easiest way for me to find out is to go rebound for them. They start talking, we start chatting, they open up a little bit. It's a relaxed environment. And they're getting some work in, they're getting some shots in. And so you can find videos on YouTube, you can do all that stuff.
Yeah.
I would just, instead of sending them out there, go out there with them.
I love that.
And rebound the ball for them.
You don't say, if you don't make so many shots, you don't get dinner, or...
Well, not on camera. No.
I love that, though. I mean, spend time with them, because chances are they're probably not going to make money playing basketball, but there is a chance that they'll need to talk to you sometime about something that's important. And I think sometimes if parents sever that relationship or strain that relationship because of sports, then maybe you're not doing yourself a favor. What about you, Coach Boone?
I would say along those lines, yes, go out with your kids, have fun with them, help them to get better in whatever way they want to. I would suggest for kids who are wanting to play basketball and are somewhat serious, to really work on ball handling and a proper shooting form, and not so much worry about. We're all competitive and we all want to win, and sometimes we'll go out and play one-on-one. I certainly would say that would be good too, but certainly work on the fundamentals of basketball, ball handling, passing with your pass with your kids and have them shoot the ball and rebound for them. Those things.
Good. Good calling.
Hard to add. Of course, we're slapping volleyballs around our driveway and hitting softballs into nets. We don't even have a goal at home anymore. But for kids, for one, it's got to be fun. It can't be work for them. I mean, you can show them a couple of easy ball handling drills or shooting drills or whatever, and make it competitive. It's probably not any different what we do in our practices. I mean, the more competitive a drill is, the more they like it, and it's fun to them. They don't feel like they're practicing. They feel like they're having a good time. And I think modeling too, and not necessarily, doing a lot of modeling with ball handling, shooting, whatever, but I mean, just even in regards to physical fitness, I mean, getting them outside, moving around, walking around your neighborhood. Yeah. That's the one thing you have noticed a lot of lately is when there's not a lot to do, there's a lot of kids on bicycles, there's a lot of dogs being walked, and I mean, I think, and you participating with your kids, with stuff like that, even aside from basketball, is a good thing.
That's great. Hey, we're going to shift gears a little bit, and we're going to talk. I'm going to throw out some NBA players, and you tell me who your pick is. So we'll start with Coach Longy. First matchup we've got is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain. Who you got?
Jabbar, no doubt.
You like the hook?
Love the hook. All-time leading NBA scorer, 6 MVPs, 6 rings. I'm not so sure you could argue that he's one of the top 3 best of all time.
Well, that question comes later, so don't jump ahead. Coach Boone, who you got?
That's tough. I kind of want to go with Wilt on that.
100 points in a game.
100 points in a game, 55 rebounds one game or something like that, I think, against Bill Russell.
against Bill Russell, the Celtic great.
Yeah.
Now, we don't, here at Conway's First Baptist Church, we don't endorse Wilt Chamberlain's off-the-court antics, but there's some other statistics that we will not talk about. May need to cut this part from the tape.
Well, he probably was, he looked at Solomon and probably tried to model him.
So that's good. Biblical save by Coach Boone. I appreciate that, because my job was in jeopardy for a few minutes, so I'm not going to be y'all's graduate assistant if this doesn't work out. He followed in the pattern of King Solomon. There you go. I like that. Who you got, Jabbar or Chamberlain?
It's tough for me because I never got to see Wilt play. And so, you can look back at old highlight clips, things like that. He was a unicorn, they say nowadays. He was a big guy, freakishly athletic. There was not really a match for him until Russell came into the league.
True.
The hook shot you referenced, it's the most unstoppable shot in the history of the game. That or Jordan's fadeaway.
Yeah.
And again, the all-time leading scorer in the NBA who scored nothing but twos and free throws, and at a high percentage. Again, I never got to see Wilt. Kareem was unbelievable.
We'll start with you, Thad. Olajuwon or Ewing?
I'm going Olajuwon 10 times out of 10 there.
Not a big Ewing fan. Boone?
I'm a big Ewing fan, but I think Olajuwon is
Better?
that. Yes.
The king of the dream?
Yes.
No, Olajuwon. Some of the best offensive post moves you'll ever see.
Big. I agree. All right, Coach Boone, we'll let you lead. Larry Bird, Dr. J.
I like Dr. J, but Larry Bird, I'd say Larry Bird.
Larry Legend?
Yes.
Coach Longing?
Larry. That's an easy one for me.
I got to go with my fellow Hoosier, Larry Bird.
Larry Bird? Well, I'm a big Larry Bird fan. Magic Johnson or John Stockton, Coach Longing?
I love John Stockton, but
Shorty
Man,
shorts. Had the
man,
shorty
man.
shorts.
a 6'9" point guard that can do what he could do, and he's got the rings to back it up. I don't know. I'd probably have to go Magic there.
I'd say Magic.
I'm going Magic.
I agree, Magic. All right, so two more. Shaq or Bill Russell? We'll start with Coach McCracken.
This was the one that I really struggled with.
Yeah?
Again, I didn't get to see Russell play.
You keep talking like you're this really young guy.
No. Russell is a really old guy. So, Shaq was so dominant. The way the game was called was changed because of Shaq. The rules of the game were changed because of Shaq. I think Bill Russell might be the most dominant defensive player that our game's ever seen relative to era. Shaq might be the most dominant offensive player that our game's ever seen. And to be quite honest, Shaq is getting the McCracken family through this quarantine just by watching his videos online. My wife follows him on social media. He is literally one of the most genuine and hilarious guys there is. I would encourage everyone to check out Shaq's.
Did anybody else own his rap CD, or maybe it was a tape? Did anybody else have that back in the? I listened to it on the way to games. It's really good. Coach Boone, same age. You didn't have that?
I did not have that.
Coach Boone is classically trained in music and orchestra and sings in a choir, so probably the Shaq rap CD. He was probably listening to Beethoven or something that made him smarter while I was listening to. Who you got, Russell or Shaq?
I have to say Shaq, and I've watched a lot of highlights on these older guys, and like Shaq. I talked about Wilt Chamberlain. A lot of rules were changed because of him. Shaq, a lot of things, a lot of the ways that NBA was called and different things were changed because of Shaq, and he was just so physically dominant that. If Bill Russell in his prime played against Shaq, of course we never would know this, but Shaq was just so much bigger and stronger than everybody.
Yeah.
I'd have to go with Shaq.
He was gone from LSU by the time you were at Ole Miss, correct?
Yes.
So who's the best player you played against? Other than me.
Other than you.
Now, in my defense, I was a little past my prime when we played.
I don't know. I played against a couple of lottery picks. McNice from Alabama was pretty good.
Okay.
and I actually played against Sharif Abdur-Rahim before he went to Cal. Those guys were pretty good. I'd probably say Abdur-Rahim was really good, and McDyess. Both those guys are really good.
Anthony, in his time at Ole Miss, had 4 different knee surgeries that shaped his career. But also, I thought it was, you started 78 out of 90 games, I believe.
Something like that.
Yeah, incredible career at Ole Miss. So, Coach McCracken talks about, I wasn't alive to see these guys play. So I think he's referencing, Coach Garrettson told him that Hendricks had peach baskets when he played. Maybe he's looking to you.
Now, I was going to make the reference, if anybody had an opportunity to watch Russell in this room, it was probably me.
Back before the games were in color.
Well, all right. I'm a lifelong Celtics fan.
Oh, me too.
And can't disagree with anything that was said about Shaq. But
Here we go.
I'll make my argument for, a career average of over 20 rebounds a game, 11 rings in 13 seasons.
That's pretty impressive.
Now, he played on good teams. There's no doubt about it. But kind of like Thad said, if you had to find somebody to guard the paint, I'm not so sure you could find a better one than Bill Russell.
11 rings. That's impressive. Last one. Save the best for last. Maybe. We'll start with Coach Boone. Jordan, Kobe, or LeBron? Who you got? You can take one for your team next year. Who you got?
That's tough.
Thank you.
That's tough. Not LeBron, and not that I don't like LeBron.
I don't.
It's tough to choose between Kobe and Jordan. I guess because I watched him growing up, I'd have to say Michael Jordan.
Okay. Coach Long.
I'm Jordan, and the one thing that Jordan and Kobe to me, and I'm not anti-LeBron, but I just think Kobe and Jordan to me are the ultimate competitors. I mean, and they're very similar players. I kind of grew up watching Jordan as well. Not that I didn't watch Kobe. I despise the Lakers, and so I'm on Jordan.
It sounds like I'm probably the biggest LeBron fan in the room.
If you like him at all, you probably are.
Well, then I guess I am.
I like LeBron.
To me, LeBron is a lot of those guys we just talked about. He's got some of Olajuwon's footwork. He's magic. He's a 6'9" point guard. You need a guy to block a shot. Who's been better in the last few years in the NBA? But with Salty's point, I would answer Jordan because of the killer instinct.
Yeah.
Very few athletes in the history of sports have had the killer instinct mentality that Jordan had. He didn't want to beat you. He wanted to rip your heart out. And to me, that's how you win 6 rings. That's how you dominate, the '92 Olympics. That's how you do all of these things that Jordan did.
And played minor league baseball.
Yeah. And Kobe's as close in terms of mentality to that I think we've seen, in our lifetime in the league.
Lots of folks, we're going to shift gears again a little bit. Lots of folks are at home now. Sometimes after they've gone out and played basketball in the driveway or volleyball, they're coming in and looking for movies. So, Coach McCracken, best sports movie of all time?
This is easy. I'll answer and then we can move on to the next question because Hoosiers is by far the greatest sports movie of all time. It's about high school basketball in the greatest state. In all seriousness, everything that movie depicts about high school basketball in Indiana is fact. I can verify it. I grew up in single class basketball in Indiana.
Was your coach an alcoholic?
I don't believe so. But I mean, when we went on the road, the whole town went.
Yeah.
High school gym. My high school gym seats 6,000 people.
Wow.
And it was packed. And we weren't anything special. That's what you did on Friday and Saturday nights.
Coach Boone, what do you got?
Oh, I guess I need to be honest.
You're in church. First time for everything.
And I do like Hoosiers. And another movie that came up in my mind was The Rookie that Disney did.
Good movie.
But if I'm being honest, I'm going to say Space Jam.
You're apologizing for you saying.
I'm sorry.
Well,
No, but
that took a lot of courage.
And it's not a movie that I would just say that if I didn't have my daughters.
No, don't blame them. Don't blame
But
them.
I enjoy watching that with my girls, especially with Lindsay now. She loves watching it. We've watched it last spring and summer. I don't know, 5-10 times, and
So
it's got Michael Jordan in it. You know,
is
he's my
Space
best
Jam
friend.
is Space Jam 2 a thing?
Supposedly.
Okay, and you're
Yes.
going to be the first in line.
No. No. And again, I do like LeBron. I do like LeBron. I enjoy watching LeBron play, but I won't be first in line for
Okay.
Space Jam 2.
Coach Longing, redeem this conversation.
Well, I can't argue with either. Well, I can argue with that. But, love Hoosiers. When it comes to sports movies, I'm a baseball guy.
Okay.
We're in church,
Okay,
or I'd say Bull Durham.
but since we are, we're just
So I'm gonna have to go Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams.
I
is a good one.
mean, there's a lot of sports movies I like, but when it comes to, I don't know, baseball to me, they have the best ones.
So weren't they gonna play a game at the field this year or next year?
It was coming up. It may have been this coming year.
Be something to look out for. All right, we'll do some rapid fire questions. All things being equal, man-to-man or zone defense. We'll start with Coach Longing.
Man.
Coach Boone.
Man to man.
Coach McCracken. Man-to-man. That's what you play if you have better talent, right? Sometimes you slip into a zone if you don't. That's at least what the team
That's
zone.
all I know.
Played zone. Who would have won the NBA this year? Coach McCracken?
I honestly think the Lakers were going to win.
Coach Boone?
Yep, the Lakers.
Clippers defeat the Bucks.
All right. Anybody have any NCAA tournament predictions for the tournament that was not? Coach Boone, you may have played some of the teams that were in
Played a
contention.
couple of them.
Anybody have any thoughts?
And I'm not saying, I mean, when we were preparing for UCA this year and I watched their game with Baylor, I knew watching that game, that was a special basketball team. And now, did I know they would almost win the Big 12 and be number one in the country? No, but, and I think, teams that play consistently well over the course of the season, I think have a hard time winning the tournament. I think you need a little downswing to regather your team a little bit, get their attention, make some adjustments. And to me, Baylor was primed to do that. They stumbled a little bit late in Big 12 play, but they had the pieces. I thought they had a great team this year.
Coach Boone, you guys played Duke, Baylor, Marquette. Who else was in the running to have a run at the tournament? Anybody else?
I'm not sure if anybody else we played this year did, but after we played Baylor, we all said this team could go to the Final Four and win a national championship.
Yeah.
We had a game plan going into that game.
It's a good Baptist school.
It's a good Baptist school. Their big guy was really good. He was coming off of injury, but I think he was preseason. I don't know if he was preseason player of the year, but he was one of the candidates for preseason player of the year in their conference. And I think he had like 3 points against us, and they still had no problem because they had so many weapons on that team.
Yeah.
Those guys played so hard, and they were just so good. I think Baylor had a really good chance to win it.
I don't start paying attention to the conference tournaments.
Yeah.
So I'm not a very good source to ask on that one. But I think I found myself pulling for Dayton just because they're never, they're never up there. So why not?
Let's talk a little bit about youth basketball. So maybe some parents watching, like me, are not very smart. And you have your kids in travel sports or, in basketball, there is AAU, and in baseball, it's USSSA, and volleyball, it's juniors. I don't know. Softball has a circuit. Everybody's got a way to suck money out of parents. We'll start with Coach McCracken. What do you think about this current state of, when I grew up, everybody played against people in their hometown on their hometown, and maybe one kid from the whole town would go play somewhere else. But you guys have any thoughts about youth sports?
Oh man, how much time do we have left?
This may be 2 segments.
This
before we're done.
two won't even cut it. We'll have to stretch this out.
Did you play AAU?
It was a very different time.
Yeah.
It was a very different time. You know, when I played AAU, golly, by the time you got to the summer before your senior year, there were maybe 8 teams in the entire state of Indiana that played, and it was set up in sections of the state. The southwest corner had a team, the southeast corner moving on up. It was just a very different time. There weren't, there are weekends now where there are AAU events hosted in Conway.
Yeah.
And there are, 16 teams in Central Arkansas that are playing at Hendricks or at the McGee or Don Owens Center. And I mean, it's just, it's crazy. And in terms of youth sports, people need to relax. And I know that's hard to do. As parents, we want the best for our kids. I joke that my wife, you've heard of helicopter parents. My wife is a Black Hawk helicopter. I mean, she is
right that out for your own safety.
She knows it. Trust me, she'll watch this and she'll laugh because I've said it before. But now I think parents are bulldozer parents. They're clearing a path now for their kids. And the thing that I try and emphasize to my wife and to other people that have kids, you learn a lot more about life playing a sport than you do sitting in any classroom chair. And I mean that with no disrespect to any teachers out there. But you don't learn about adversity, discipline, sacrifice, teamwork, those things sitting in a classroom desk, not any one classroom. And those are things you learn playing sports. And that needs to be the takeaway. It doesn't need to be the result of a game, especially at until you reach about the age of 13 or 14. The result's not important. It's what can they learn from that game? What can they learn from that season? What is the takeaway that's going to help them become a better person afterwards?
That's really good. I heard a parenting quote once that our job as parents is not to prepare the path for the child, but to prepare the child for the path. And I do think sometimes we as parents, and I do this, we want to remove every rock or anything they could stumble on out of their way. We want to make sure that they win a lot and that they get championship rings when they win. And man, I think we miss, and like you guys, I hate losing. And something being locked at home has brought out in me is I dominate board games in my family because I hate, and it creates such but we miss sometimes the lessons that we can teach our kids when they lose. I did some statistics, and half the teams that play a game lose. It's amazing. And we miss sometimes, it's like every time you play, somebody's going to lose. So we miss some of the lessons, that not that we accept it and not that we like it, and certainly, everybody shouldn't get a trophy, but man, sometimes we can learn so much. We can teach them.
Well, and I'll let these other guys chime in, but the way I try to explain it to people too is we are all going to stumble, we're all going to make mistakes. We're going to err as we move throughout life. When you err at a young age, our kids' age, if you make a mistake, it's like falling out of a first-story window. Doesn't feel good, you're embarrassed about it, but you get up and you move on and you're not hurt by it. You get to the high school, college age, now you're falling out of a second-story window when you make a mistake. You're probably going to break something. It's going to hurt for a while, but you'll heal and you'll get through it. You make a mistake as a young adult, now you're falling out of a third-story window. You might not just break something, you might be paralyzed. It's going to alter your life moving forward. You make a mistake as an older adult, now you're falling out of a fourth-story window. It's going to be hard to survive. You might not survive the fall. It's going to either kill your current path or what have you. And the more obstacles we can put in front of our kids, the more things they can learn from youth sports about all those things I mentioned at a young age is going to prevent them from falling out of third and fourth-story windows when they get older.
Coach Boone, you're in the middle of raising kids like all three of you all four of us are. What do you think about youth sports? Some advice for parents?
Well, one, it is a lot different, and I'm not sure. I think I'm older than you are.
A lot.
But when I grew up here in Arkansas, and
Helena West Helena.
Helena West Helena, yes, I played AAU basketball, and it was a lot different back then. I played for the Wings, based out of Little Rock, and we started practicing after the season was over in April and May, and then we played in the state tournament, and then we played in the nationals, and that was it. And the summer before my senior year, we played in one extra tournament. It was the some tournament in Dallas. I can't remember what it's called now.
Yeah.
It was a big deal, man. Great American Shootout. That's what it was. We played in that. We played in our state tournament, and we played in the national tournament. That was it. Now they've got, as you said, there will be a tournament in Conway that has so many teams, and there'll be another one in Little Rock, and these guys can play in tournaments in April, and then we have to go out and watch them and sit through a bunch of bad basketball in April, and whenever it is, we have to go out and recruit. I will say one thing that is good out of all, this explosion of so many teams is there are opportunities for young kids to go out and be more involved in the sport, whatever sport it is, if it's baseball or volleyball or soccer or basketball. There are a lot more opportunities for them to continue to play the sport that they enjoy to play. I would say for parents, and parents can be aggressive and negative with their high schoolers, with their junior high, middle school, and even with little, second, third, and fourth grade kids. They're that way.
Yeah.
Especially when they are kids. The biggest concern should be that, one, your kid is enjoying what they're doing, and also that he or she is learning how to play, and not so much worried about that their team is winning this game or their team is winning so many games, but that the kids are actually enjoying themselves and learning how to play, so that when they are in middle school and in junior high and in high school, and then when they go to play for Salty in high school or for us in college, that they do know the game. That not that we don't like teaching the game, we do enjoy teaching the game, but there are some kids that miss out on a lot of fundamental things because they go and play for this club team, and all they're concerned about is winning, and they're just going to manipulate the game to make sure that they win, instead of teaching them how to play the game and to benefit from.
You guys don't ask recruits how many youth basketball tournaments they won, how many rings?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear.
We don't. Now I do understand that there are some good people that coach club sports.
Sure.
I've got some friends that
Absolutely.
are great, and they've got the right mindset.
Yeah.
They're trying to make sure the kids are learning the game, and that they're doing all the other things they're supposed to do with school to make sure they're prepared to go on to college. But there are a lot of them that just want to win these tournaments so that they can have that on their
parents'
website,
egos,
and
coaches' egos,
all those egos.
and lots of money.
So yes, that's it. The egos of these of some of the youth coaches, the egos of some of the parents get in the way, and then they in turn teach their kids to be that way, and not so much wanting to learn, but just making sure I can manipulate things to win.
We actually took out a second mortgage for my son's travel baseball this season. Coach Long, anything to add about?
It's hard to add, but when you're talking in regards to parents, if they can just stay in the support role and allow the coaches to coach, and whether that's at what we do for a living or whether you're talking about club or AAU or whatever. But kind of going back to a few things that have already been said, when you remove the obstacles that the kids have to fight through to get whatever they want, whether it's a starting position, whether it's playing time, whatever. It's so easy now. And in reference to AAU basketball, there's so many teams. When a parent or kid's not getting what he wants, they move him over here. They don't get what they want, they move him over here. And you really even see it in high school basketball, today, not just AAU.
Recruiting is alive and well.
Well, and it really, it not only sends the wrong message to the kid, but the kid never learns the value of just digging down and working to earn what it is that they want, whether it's that starting position or whether it's the playing time or whatever. And so whether they're coming to me with that mentality or going to them with that mentality, they've never had to learn. They just packed up and went somewhere else thinking it would be gifted to them. as opposed to learning what work ethic and perseverance and qualities like that it is.
Learn to play a role. I mean, not
Exactly.
everybody's going to be the leading scorer. Not everybody's going to be the CEO. I think those things are really important. Let's kind of, as we conclude this, man, this has been awesome. What role do you think your faith has played? We'll start with Coach Boone. As you coach, what role has your faith played in your coaching and your basketball career?
Well, I think it's been a huge part of I wouldn't say just my coaching, but my life, and in turn my coaching. Not that we hold Bible studies and make guys memorize scriptures or anything like that, but it certainly shapes me for who I am and helps me to see, this is a team. Oftentimes that's referred to not the team part, but just about us being all different parts. We all have to come together. We all have to play our part, play our role, and getting guys to understand that. That's a huge thing in Christianity, and I think that so many things. I think everything can be modeled after that, and certainly our team can. And I want to tell you this, Colby. I did share this. We do have times where we do devotions, and it's not that we force guys to do
Sure.
it, but we have them. And I told the guys my favorite scripture, I think, is one that you talked about with me when we were at Kennecott in Philippians, the second chapter. And I remember you saying, I want to learn this because it's so incredible to be able to say this. And that is, and to me, it speaks to any team there is, because most teams, the guys or young ladies come from different backgrounds. They have different agendas and they have different ideas and different thoughts, but they all have to come together. In the second chapter, Paul says that if you have any encouragement from being united with Christ, if any comfort from his love, if any fellowship with the Spirit, if any tenderness and compassion, then make my joy complete by being like-minded, having the same love, being one in spirit and purpose. And that's one thing I did share with our guys this past season. We all have different agendas. We all have different things we want, but we need to be able to come to a common ground, a common core, and know that everything we're doing here is to help this team to get better. And the better the team looks, the better that each individual will look. And put aside whatever selfish agendas you may have, and let's come together as one, and let's move forward as one.
Holy cow. If coaching doesn't work out, man, you might consider a job in ministry. And no one's going to want to follow that. I don't even want to follow that. That's really good. Thanks for sharing that. I think that's a good word. Coach McCracken, what role is you don't want to follow
Thanks
that?
for making me follow it. No, that was incredible. And anybody that knows Anthony knows that is sincere. He didn't come in with that scripted. That's really who he is and what he's about. And ultimately, I like to think that's why Dr. Teague and the administration at UCA made the wise decision to give him the job. No, it's incredibly hard to follow, but he's exactly right in terms of, it's all about cultivating buy-in in sport and things like that. And ultimately, he's using his faith to help do that and to help relate to his team and things like that. The thing that my faith has helped me with, and I think this is something that Salty can certainly relate to, and I think Anthony will soon. As a head coach, you get so caught up in the result, and kind of like what's going on with our world right now with this pandemic. It's out of our control, right? And the whole message that you and Kyle and Dr. Dale and the whole church staff has been given is about trusting in God and God is in control, not us. And I think just my faith has helped me as a head coach worry less about the result of games and just try and go about doing things the right way. Trying to make sure that the relationship side of coaching is what I'm focusing on most, and I'm doing everything I can for each and every one of my guys, off the floor as well as on the floor. And just hoping that the result will take care of itself and not getting too caught up in winning and losing. And the best advice I can give Anthony, or heads up is, and he's experienced it now, as the interim coach, but he certainly, I think, will more as the head coach, is, the losses hurt more than the wins feel good.
Yeah.
You feel like you should win every game. And that's the biggest. I struggled with it so much when I became a head coach.
Yeah.
And you know, again, my faith seems to have gotten stronger every year. And it has certainly helped me. I've probably relaxed more in terms of the win-loss record every year.
I think one thing you said is, man, if you can get to a place where you value relationships over results, and you don't just see the relationship as a way to get results. Well, one thing I appreciate about all three of you guys is that you value your players, and you want them to grow to be young men and to develop what it's going to take to succeed in life. Because most of the kids you coach are not going to make a living playing basketball. Most of them are going to make a living doing something else. So what can sports teach them? Coach Longing, what about you? What roles do you think?
Well, personally, and I was going to kind of go where Thad went, in that, you know, for me personally, it grounds me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've got a confession to make, though, that, you know, in season from November till early March, I don't miss a devotional. I don't miss a prayer.
Yeah.
I don't miss, well, I can't say I don't miss church, but I'm more consistent. You know, and it is, you know, but again, it's a high level of stress.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's something that, you know, I'm on my knees during that time. And so it keeps me grounded. But then from a, you know, my faith, and I look at it in regards to family, in that what I value with my family, with my children at home, is really the way I see my team. My team is an extension of what I have at home. And so the thing, and again, like what Anthony said, we're not necessarily sitting around giving testimonies and reading scripture, but loving those kids, knowing that I've got 25 and every one of them have a different story. Communicating constantly with them, which to me is as important as anything we do with our kids. And along with loving them, you discipline them, just like you do your kids at home. And, you know, to me, that's Christian based. And it's the way you handle your family, your children at home. And for all three of us, not speaking for the other two, but our teams are extensions of our family. And when we handle it the same way.
Yeah, the way God God disciplines those He loves. Man, that's incredible. And I was thinking, and we'll just close. I've heard this a lot. Do sports teach character? And then the next thing people said was, no, sports don't teach character; they reveal character. and there's some truth in both of those things. But what I think is that sports don't teach anything. Caring adults are the ones that teach things. Sports provide a lab, right? Like we're out here, and they provide opportunities for parents. I was at my son's baseball game, and this poor kid, he's nervous. You know, he's 12 years old. He's about to step up to bat with what he thinks is a 95-mile-an-hour fastball coming at his head. And I'm sitting there listening to what everybody in the stands is yelling. Head up, shin back, elbows out, feet still, you know, eye on the ball, bend up. You know, it's like this kid doesn't know what end of the bat to hold. And you're yelling 14 things at him, and he doesn't know what to do. And I thought, we're not helping that kid. And then we strike out. He strikes out, and we're like, that's embarrassing. Don't yell that. Come on, Mom. You know, sports are a lab, and sports provide a chance for us, caring adults or parents in a kid's life, to teach. And I think we're missing something when we don't take. Well, every time youth basketball, baseball, when teams lose, we want to blame the umpire. We want to blame the coach. You know, goodness, the coaches are the dumbest people in the world. You guys know that. There's not, you know, it's somebody else's fault other than going, hey, the other team was better than us today. What can we do to prepare to be better next time or to be ready? So I think sports provide a lab for us to teach kids and encourage kids. And if they're not going to make money or be professional athletes, what can we can use the time that we spend with them traveling. We can use the time in the driveway. We can use those moments to talk about life. I just want to share a couple scriptures, 2 verses. One, Colossians 3:17, whatever you do in word or in deed, do everything in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, giving thanks to God the Father through Him, in word or deed. So I think parents and coaches and all of us need to remember not only what we say sends a message, but what we do. Like the things that we do on the court also send a message, and the things that we do in the stands and the things that we do. That I'll never forget this last season, which, by the way, Central Arkansas folks, sometimes in basketball season, the moon lines up perfectly, And in Central Arkansas, some Friday nights, the Wampus Cats have a home game. Saturday, UCA. This is the best weekend in the world. UCA has a home game. So we got Friday, Saturday, and then you got Sunday. Hendricks plays on Sunday. By the way, Coach McCracken has said free admission all next season to anybody at Hendricks games. So just tell him, Coach. It's great though. Great three nights of great basketball. My wife lets me do that sometimes, and it's perfect. You got a player this last season from Hendricks that was visiting our church, and their parents visited our church, and I went and introduced myself to them. And after I left, the dad said, "I can't believe that's the guy that yells so crazy at the Hendricks games, the pastor at the church." And so I was like, "Man, I need to watch what I yell." But that verse in Colossians, whatever we do, whether what we say or actually what we live, we can do it in a way that honors Christ. And the other verse, and I shared this once with some of the guys on your team, Anthony, and it's Galatians 6:9. It says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we don't give up." I think a lot of times when guys are doing right or coaches are you're putting your teams through the right thing, we don't get the results right away. And it's like the farmer, the planting, and you gotta get the soil ready, you gotta do all this work, and you do reap what you sow, but you reap later than when you sow it. And this verse in Galatians says, don't get tired of doing the right thing. I think even in my own kid's life, apart from sports, sometimes when kids are trying to do the right thing, they don't always get, sometimes you do the right thing and you get punished. Sometimes you do the right thing and you don't get rewarded right away. But doing the right thing is its own reward. We don't have to always get rewarded. Let's not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we'll reap a harvest if we don't give up. I think one of the key things sports can teach us is to not give up, right? When you're not getting to play as much as you want, when you didn't make the team, when you're not starting, when you're not getting the points, the results you want, don't give up. And that's one of the things that I think sports can teach us about life and our faith. When you're not where you need to be in your relationship with Christ, don't give up. Keep going. So, man, this was awesome. Thank y'all. I'm going to pray, and we'll be done. Father, we thank you so much for the life that you give us. Father, we thank you for men and women like these men and ladies around our area that are coaching, that are investing in the lives of young athletes, to make them better people, to make them better adults, to make them better followers of you. God, I pray that during this time that you would help to remind us of the proper place that sports has in our culture and in our life. And Father, that we would realize the things that we can learn about you and about ourselves and about our teammates through sports. Father, you're a great God and you're full of grace and mercy, and we thank you for that. In Jesus' name, everybody watching said, amen. Thanks, guys. Air high fives all around. We'll do it again sometime.
Shining moment, you knew. One shine.